Yeah, welcome to CyberNet Security. Happy New Year, friends. I know this day, to some people you might be surprised why I'm saying Happy New Year. Actually, this is the first video I'm doing for this year, for the year 2026, and I'm so happy to be here, to be your very number one guy when it comes to IT technologies and cybersecurity. So let's just go straight. Many a times people do ask me, what does this NAT mean, and how best do I understand this NAT? Okay, the analogy I always give them is all about when you come to a hotel environment where you have a receptionist phone and you have your guests. So everyone is just like everyone who wants to talk, who wants to make an order needs to go through the receptionist. Like you need to call the receptionist, and the receptionist gets orders what you want as a guest in the hotel. So NAT does actually the same. Okay, let me go more into a technical term. So we there's a video I did about private IP addressing or public IP addressing. You can feel free to go and look at it. So when I talk about private IP addresses are addresses that without them, with just them, you don't have access to the internet, but you have access to your local network. You're within your office environment, within your home office, within your enterprise, but there is no internet attached to it. So it's just like your device IPs. These are IP addresses that you assign to your laptops, to your servers, and to many other devices, networking devices that you use on your environment. So now NAT is a networking technique that lets multiple devices on a private network share a single public IP address when accessing the internet. So like I said, without the NAT, there will be nothing like not really that there won't be internet though, but the idea of NAT is to conserve IP addressing. The idea of NAT is to conserve IP addressing. If there is no NAT, that means the 4.3 billion available IP addresses that is out there might be overused. Because why I say that is with NAT we can constantly use the same set of IP addressing in different environments. You understand? For example, MTN can use their own private IP addressing. Airtel can use their own private IP addressing depending on what you can use the same type of private IP addressing, and it doesn't conflict with the one MTN is using. So because it is internal to the environment. So when the technology NAT came out, what we do, what started to happen is when you have this private IP addressing set in your environment, and with the assistance of NAT, you could be able to translate. The NAT translates the IP address, the private IP address, to a public IP address, which your environment, the whole of your environment, the whole of your company can be sharing just one public IP address. Okay, this is the grammatical representation of what I'm talking about. So here you can have in this side, you can have your enterprise devices, maybe your laptops, your servers, um, your APs, access points, and so many other networking devices that exist on your environment. And these networking devices that exist on the environment can have different private IP addressing. You can give them different private, you can give them as many, like depending on the subnet mask, depending on the class, the IP class, or if you're using classless IP addressing. Just like for example, if sorry before I continue, have if you don't understand anything about private and public IP addressing, there's a video that I'll be linking up to this video where I explain private and public IP addressing to the minimum. So feel free to check my video so you have a better understanding on what a private IP addressing is and equally what a public IP addressing is. So here, let me continue from where I stopped. So here, when you have this private IP addressing in your environment, what you can do is the IP address, the NAT transforms the private IP addressing to the public IP addressing. For example, your environment can have just one public IP address like 200.201.16.54.14. So this can be your public IP addressing, but you have as many private IP addressing. So what it does is, what they call it is PATS. It is port address translation. This is the most common type of NAT that you see out there, where many private IP addressing are sharing one public IP address. How does this happen? Your IP address, your private IP addressing is being tagged to a port number, is being matched with a port number, which another private IP addressing environment can be matched with a different port number. So when it gets to the this NAT to the NAT, like can be your router. When it gets to the NAT, it looks at the NAT table and maps that private the socket. To it marks it to your public IP addressing. So many private IP addressing can be using just one public IP address. So when you look at that your communication from the outside, from the internet, for example, what you see is the public IP address and you will not see the private IP address. So what is the benefits of this NAT? NATing has so many advantages. It improves security because your private IP addressing is not visible to the internet. It's not visible to the internet, and equally helps conserve IP addressing. It's secure. Equally help conserve IP addressing, and it makes reusing IP addressing possible. Private IP addresses possible across different enterprises. So here I want to talk about the different types of NATs that we have. We have majorly 3 different types of NATs. So we have the static NAT. You have the static. Sorry. You have the static NATs. I think I can't even write. You have the static NATs. You have the dynamic NAT. The static NAT is when you map one private IP address without a port to a public IP address. This is basically what hosting providers use, a static NAT mechanism. So, but we have another type of NAT, NATing out there, which is a dynamic NAT. This dynamic NAT is where you have a pool of public IP addressing, where depending on what you want to achieve, a private IP addressing can be assigned any public IP addressing that exists within the pool. So now we have the one I just explained earlier, which people the port addressing translation, which many people refer as NAT overloads. This NAT overload is what you see primarily people using most often in the IT environment, the IT world. Like that's why when you are talking about the communication, the NAT mechanism that your devices is currently using in your environment, the one you use in your home office, one using an enterprise office, where you just come to an environment where they configure a private IP addressing and give you before you know it, you have access to the internet. So what is existing in your environment is that part, which is the port addressing translation. That is why your device which has a private IP address is able to get internet. So I believe this is a very simple and smooth way I can explain this NAT topology for you. So if you have any other question about NAT and technology, feel free to comment on this video, and again, don't forget to like and subscribe, because we have many other IT videos that will be coming afterwards. So feel free to comment. Thank you guys, and do have a lovely day. Once again, thank you for watching Cyber and Security, your most trusted publishers. Thank you.